G'day and welcome to another video with Better Pics. Hope this finds everyone well. Today's video is looking at how to deal with and fix chromatic aberration, or colour fringing as it's also known, within Lightroom Desktop. Now it's a fairly simple and quick and easy fix, so let's have a look at how it works. I've got an image here that I photographed on my trip to Antarctica. This was actually photographed in South Georgia. And you can see it's a lovely image of the side of the ship that we were on with the water and mountains and glacier in the background there. Let's have a look a little bit closer. And you can see chromatic aberration, as it most commonly appears, is as either magenta or cyan. Colour fringing, which it's also referred to. Colour fringing is a common term that's used. And you can see in this particular case, it is quite pronounced, and it is well known for the lens option that I was using on this particular day. Let's have a look at what I was shooting with. It was a Canon 5D Mark II, so this image was shot quite a while ago, as you can imagine. So, and the Canon EF 17-40 f4L series lens. It was photographed at f8, 1/60th of a second at ISO 100. So f8 is well known through testing by myself that is the sharpest option for this lens, but unfortunately the chromatic aberration, as I mentioned, is quite pronounced, and you can see it around the edge. It's most commonly seen when there's really bright background and an object in the foreground, and you can see that transition between the bright background and the objects in the foreground mean that there's chromatic aberration quite extensively through this image. You can see it on the outline there of the ship, and it's that cyan and magenta outline. All right, let's head over to the Edit tab, and we're going to scroll on down to, let's have a look at optics. Because chromatic aberration is an optical issue, it is most sensibly under optics, and you can see there's a checkbox there, chromatic aberration. You can see as soon as we've clicked that remove chromatic aberration, it has pretty much gotten rid of all of it, which is fantastic. So you can see that fringing, if I turn that on and off, it all but disappears. We can see a little bit there just on the outline, but for all intents and purposes, it really has done a fantastic job of removing that chromatic aberration or colour fringing. Now, we also have the option for defringe, and you can see that there's magenta and cyan, or purple and green options, and we've got the purple selected at the moment. We've turned off the chromatic aberration so that we can see that popping up again, and we're just going to increase that slider to the right from 0, and you can see it doesn't take much at all. In fact, I've only moved that up 3 units, and we can see that it is all but gone. Now you can see the green fringing is definitely still there, so we're just going to select that one, and we're also going to remove that as well. Now we have a little slider here where we can increase the range in which that color is selected, and if we slide that along, we can see that we're getting rid of that green, which works really, really well. So excellent. Yep, that looks really good. So you can see we actually don't need that much within the green. It's only 5 points, but just using that slider to select the color tonal range of the fringing allows us to make sure that it is all but gone. And you can see on all of those edges, it has definitely disappeared. Now, keeping in mind with this technique, we do sometimes see what we're seeing here, and that's a removal of color around the join between the background and the foreground objects. And I'm just going to reduce that green amount, and you can see that it's still appearing. So it is a little bit of a balance between an effective way to go. The way that it's actually removing that fringing is just by removing the color, and you can see the downside is that we've got this effect where it's actually removing the color completely from parts of the image. So I'm going to just go back in and select remove chromatic aberration, and you can see it's done a great job. And we're just going to have a look at all of those edges, and you can see that there's really no removal of color there between the edges of the railings on the side of the ship and the water in the background. So that seems to be a much better way of doing it. Keep in mind that this defringe tool is there because there will be some images occasionally where the defringe option is the better way to go. This is another great example where edits for your images aren't necessarily standardized across all of your images. It really does come down to applying the appropriate edits to individual images to get the results that you're looking for. In this case, the best option was to check the Remove Chromatic Aberration box and not use the Defringe tool. And we've certainly got a great result. All of that chromatic aberration has disappeared, and we haven't had any loss of color around those edges based on the example that I showed you earlier when I was using that defringe tool. So keep that in mind. If the Remove Chromatic Aberration tool doesn't give you the results you're after, then have an experiment with the defringe tool as well. It's really important to approach your edits with each image based on what's needed for that particular image. So have a go, have an experiment, and have a try with your own images. Make sure you really zoom in on your images to see whether or not you have chromatic aberration. Often working off a smaller screen or even just a screen in general, it's not always easy to see. So important that you zoom in at least 100%, more if possible, and have an experiment to see which tool works best for your individual images. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we look forward to seeing you next time. As always, any questions are welcome in the comments below, and take care.